Hard, heavy, and hair. Badass music for badass listeners. With Pariah Burke.
Sabrina Fallah, thank you very much for joining me on the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Ottawa, Canada, and you have something to do with music, I would think, because you're on the show.
Yes. I'm a rock singer. I also play guitar and the piano as well, and I write my own music.
Oh, very nice. So on your songs, are you playing guitar, or are you bringing in other musicians?
Normally, it's the band in the studio that the producer brings in. But I can say in one of my songs on my first EP, Breakthrough, I'm playing the bridge because the producer's like, I want you to play one part on this record so you can at least say you played on the record. So a little bit I'm in it, but it's mostly the band. Yeah, but I got to have fun on some small section. But I can play the songs live. But on the record, he wanted to get most producers want the bands to play it, but that's how it is. But it'll
Sure.
be interesting if one day I can just play it all me on the record. But I guess because of time, they want to do things fast and get things going. But it was fun just having that small section played on the song. So yeah.
I bet. I'm a guitar player myself. Actually, it's in frame. You can see my guitar on the stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, right on. So I see over your shoulder, Green Day Rolling Stones cover. Oh, right on.
My whole room is Green Day. They're the reason. Actually, their American Idiot album is the album that got me into rock. So when I heard that album, I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to do. So that album, I just took that and added my own twist to it and made it my sound because I'm not going to copy Green Day, but they are everything. And yeah, American Idiot made me who I am today. So
Wow, that's great. Being able to trace. I mean, first off, that's an excellent album, American Idiot.
mhm,
But being
mhm,
able to trace the moment of inception for rock
mhm.
music for your music career back to that one album, that's really cool.
Yeah. Even though I like all of their albums, but American Idiot is the one that really caught me. And I'm like, well, that's the sound that I want. So yeah, that album was very good. And it's still good to this day, actually. It's still
Oh
very
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's aged really well. I mean, there are some albums, from some artists that just don't hold up after a few years, but that's a really good record. I would say I don't know if that would be in my top 50, but it would definitely be in my essential 100 rock albums to listen to.
Mm, yeah. I always go to American Idiot for everything. Like if I'm not having a good day, if I feel down, that album brings me back up. Even though it's all about politics, but the stories behind the music is Billy wrote the entire album. So it's amazing how he finds all the story ideas to write down. It's amazing. He's very good at songwriting. And I've learned a lot from him too, from his earlier stuff, like from Dookie. I used to write songs like Dookie Days. Back in the day, I used to write songs like that just for fun. So yeah.
All right, right on. So who else has influenced you? I mean, Green Day, obviously, but
Green Day is my main, but Bon Jovi and Billy Idol, I have to say. Yes, they're all male, but what can I say? They're all good looking. But I have seen them all live. So I saw Billy Idol in 2017, and he actually gave me his set list. So I was face to face, and man, he is fit. And I saw Bon Jovi a few years before that, and wow, he's even better live. Like, like the album is good, but they like to tweak it and polish it. But live, you can actually hear the voice and how he talks, and it's beautiful.
Oh wow. Yeah, wow, I think the last time I saw Bon Jovi was way back.
Mm-hmm.
Might have even been the New Jersey tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I haven't seen him, and I haven't seen him lately.
Yeah,
Um,
but he is touring.
yeah, I guess so. I knew he was on tour this summer, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I would imagine he's probably still on tour. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure they're off and on. The bands these days are off and on, so
yeah.
they're always, and I'm sure all the bands are like recording stuff now, and because I think Green Day is gonna release their next album sometime this year,
You
from
must be
what I've
excited
heard.
for that.
Yes, and I like how they change things around and do their own things and don't stick to the same sound all the time.
They experiment,
Yeah,
and stretch.
yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard your music. When you play live, do you do covers?
Yes. Green Day,
Okay.
Avril Lavigne. I
S-
do a Hope Stank, their hit song. The one song that I know of theirs, The Reason. That's my favorite song of theirs.
okay.
Yeah, Kelly Clarkson as well. I do sing a lot of Kelly Clarkson songs.
I can hear
I
that
do.
in your voice. I can definitely hear. I I would. I think you do great. I think you probably do great. I would like to hear you cover Kelly Clarkson. Um,
Actually, when I went to Nashville to do my Kiss is a Killer EP, Kelly Clarkson's studio drummer played on my record.
oh, nice.
So yeah, because in Nashville, everybody's there, right?
Yeah.
So when I met him, I'm like, you're Kelly Clarkson's drummer? Amazing. But then he said, I'm not gonna put Kelly Clarkson drums on your record, but I'm definitely playing. It's because Kelly Clarkson isn't my style, but it's interesting. Yeah, nice guy. Yeah.
Well,
Kelly
cool.
Clarkson has a lot of drummers because I'm sure it changes all the time for different albums. Like Avril Lavigne has a different band because they just get different session players. But yeah, Nashville was really fun. I met a lot of people. I worked with Dolly Parton's producer, Kent Wells, but
Wow.
I didn't meet Dolly Parton though. She wasn't in the studio while I was there, but I saw all of her frames in the hallway on the walls.
Right on.
So I sang in front of her, in front of the mic she has sung on, but I didn't get to meet her.
Was that kind of humbling to use Dolly Parton's microphone?
It was nice to be somewhere where a lot of the big artists were, and knowing that just being me, being able to stand in front of that mic is like, wow. Just imagine if Dolly Parton was right here,
Yeah.
next to me. I wanted to meet her, but she just didn't have the studio time when I was there. But she could have walked in at any moment, honestly, because that's the studio she goes to.
Yep. Wow. To meet a legend like her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And she's so sweet.
So who who would you say is you were most excited to meet that you have met?
Oh, like who is famous?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, another musician or anybody famous, I guess.
Well, the musician I have actually met, I met Kesha, My God, I can't even pronounce her name. Keisha Shante before she became famous. If you remember back in the day, I don't know if you knew her, but she was on the television, but she was getting a deal, and I met her at my vocal coach because she was taking lessons with the same teacher as me,
Yeah.
and I knew her before she exploded, but like, like became famous. And now I think she's a talk host on TV.
Oh, I'm not familiar
Uh,
with her, but I'll have to
she
look her
she
up.
she's like an R&B pop artist.
And it's
Yeah.
Keisha. What was her last name?
Kesha Shante.
Shante.
I Shante like the singing in French. Yeah, I
Oh,
think I think
Enchante.
she might be French. Yeah, I think she might be a bit of French because the last name is French. Yeah,
Okay.
but that was
Uh,
a very, very long time ago. Like, wow, like I was 18, 19 when I met her, so that's way, way back. Yeah, and she was very nice actually.
cool. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
look her up.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to ask, getting into, do you have any advice for young people or anyone getting into or thinking about a career in music nowadays?
That's a good question. Um, do what you want and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Because I've had a few producers tell me that I could never do rock and that I should stay pop and do it this way. No girls can do rock. And even Joan Jett and Pat Benatar were told that they couldn't be rock singers. And look at them now. All the female rockers always get told they can't do it, but then they do it and they make it. But it's very hard for a female to be successful in this industry. For some reason, they just don't believe women can do it. But in any way you do it, you don't let anybody tell you what to do, and you stick to what you believe in. If somebody says do it this way, think about it, see if it's even worth going that way, and then decide. Me, I never listened to anybody. I did things my way. So, and I'm still trying to push through everything. So it's not an easy business, but you just have to keep going. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And don't stop. And believe in yourself and build confidence, which I'm still working on every day.
Yeah, maintaining confidence in music it can be a challenge,
Hmm.
but you
Especially
get,
when so many people are mean to you, you just don't have to listen to them.
yeah, really good advice. Thank you. Um, so continuing on with that, I wanted to
Hmm.
also ask you, so um, your most popular song, getting a lot of radio play, a lot of Spotify play, is The Front Line. Is there a story behind that? Why do you think The Front Line connects so well with people?
I wrote The Front Line when I was in Toronto during that time. I think that was around 2015, well, 2014, 2015. I released it in 2015, but I was in Toronto for a year. And I was feeling like I was getting distant from my friends. And I was going through problems because I was traveling, doing my stuff, and I felt like I had no support from my friends. And that can happen when you're trying to succeed in something you love. You will lose some friends, which I did. In the end, I had to walk away because I just couldn't take the whole negativity and no support thing. But the front line is about going up the mountain, going for your dream, and going without the people that you thought would go with you. So you're going to climb up the mountain and go and get it. But whoever wants to come or leave, you just keep on going. you will lose friends and make new friends along the way. So you're gonna go for the front line and get to your dream.
Powerful message. Very nice.
Yeah.
Um, is there a story behind the song "Stuck Up"?
Yes. I was I was in Nashville doing that song, writing that song, and I had writer's block during that time and that day, and I had to get that song written. And I told my co-writer, I'm stuck, and I guess we'll just write about up. Because I didn't know what to write. So I'm like, how about just something about being stuck up or something? And and it's not a song I wrote about someone because normally I write songs about things that I go through in life. But and then I'm like, let's just write about people who think that they know everything, which some people do,
Which really
but
annoys, those of us who really do
which
know
is
everything.
like that song is perfect for you. But a lot of people seem to like to dance with that song. It's very upbeat.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I didn't want all of my songs, if they were serious, to sound so angry, mad. So I kind of made it fun and upbeat, but to the point of you are stuck up.
Right on. Okay. So what is your songwriting process generally?
Oh, it changes. Either I have the title first, or the chorus first, or the bridge first, or the verse first, or I'm just scribbling down lyrics. But I normally like to have my guitar with me and just start strumming something. It doesn't even have to be the chord that I use, but just starts to get the lyrics to flow. But things can change all the time. If you hear some of my songs before and after, completely different because it can always change. But I can write pretty fast if I'm in the mood and everything's flowing, or it can take a few weeks or a few months. I don't like to rush a songwriting process because you just don't want to rush that creativity.
Yeah. Other than getting writer's block on "Stuck Up," was there any song that took a while to write that you found to be a challenge to write that you were really happy with the results?
Hmm. Do you mean a song by myself or with the co-writer?
Either one.
Um, I think writing with a co-writer goes faster because you have somebody else to bounce things off with. But by myself, oh, it can take time. I might even have to start another song and then come back to that song because I just don't have the lyrics for it. And I've done that a few times.
Okay.
And if I'm really struggling, I just push it away for a few weeks. I don't give up. I just don't think about that song yet. I let my brain relax. Because sometimes if you write too much, you need to rest your brain at some
Oh, yeah.
point.
Yeah. I find if I'm trying to learn a new song or if I'm having trouble learning a new song,
Hmm.
just putting it off for a couple of days, seems to work better for me. I come back to it. Suddenly my fingers work where they didn't before. I can, it's just my subconscious, I guess, solves the problem while, I'm not actively working on the song.
Right.
Um, all right. And you're a radio show host yourself, aren't you?
Yes. Can I mention the station's name?
Absolutely.
Okay. I
Yeah.
always
Promote
ask
them.
because yeah, because some stations say no, you can't promote them. So I always ask. So yes, so do you want me to tell you how that came about? Because it's an interesting story.
Please.
So Okay, what year was this? This was 2020, 2020, 2021. Like, oh yes, end of
I
February.
tell people we're in month 95 of 2020, so I get, if it's just all kind of blending together.
I know that was during the COVID days. Um, so Halloween of 2020, I get interviewed by Brian Sullivan on WBLQ, and he interviewed me. It was a very good interview. It was on his morning show from 6 to 7 a.m.
And this was Rhode Island,
and
right?
Rhode Island, yes. And
Okay.
then somehow we clicked and we stayed friends and we kept in contact because sometimes I do stay in contact, sometimes you don't. It depends, right? Then I think, I don't even know if it was a month or a few weeks later, I asked him, do you want me back on your show to talk more about my music? And he's like, you know what? Why don't you just join me on the radio?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, be my co-host. I'm like, okay, but shouldn't you get like permission first? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll talk to the owner and I'll get it. So the owner liked me enough to have me do a few test runs, because I guess he just wanted to see how things would flow. And now I'm not only on Saturdays, I am on Wednesdays too. So I was on this morning at 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now I do twice a week for an hour and it's fantastic. And how I do it, I zoom in and they
Okay.
connect me through Zoom.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so I'm on the radio for interviews and I'm also on the radio, which is interesting because I don't really want to be like the DJ doing the knobs and track and like I don't know how to do all that. But being there and just talking about music and just interacting, that's me. That's me. So, yeah, it's fun.
yeah.
And they also play my music too, but it's cool. They're like a
Nice.
family. They're very
Yeah.
nice people.
That's really cool. Yeah. No, I am a big fan of being on the radio myself, so I get it. Um,
And I
so
didn't
yeah.
expect after that interview to be asked to be on the radio. Like, oh, just the amount of people who have to go through so many steps to get there. I guess right place, right time, huh?
Yeah.
Because that, and also being on that station, I got heard from one of the DJs and I got on BBC through him. So, yeah, sometimes being on the radio helps.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get on BBC for years, and finally I finally got it. It was it was nerve-wracking because they told me how many people listen to BBC. And I had to perform on live and I was so scared, but I didn't show it, but I was more like, don't mess up. Don't mess. And I didn't. And it's actually on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's on my YouTube page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna write that down.
It says it'll be called BBC Merseyside. Yeah.
I'm sorry. BBC what?
Merseyside is Liverpool area in England.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I want to check
Yeah.
that out.
And I also did one on BBC Manchester. And oh my God, I watch Carnation Street like all the time. So, and they're from like they're in the Carnation Street area. And that studio is across from the filming of Carnation Street. Oh my God, their accent sounds identical to Carnation Street. Have you seen that show,
I
The Carnation?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. Well, it is a British show, so and It goes through really slow. Like if you start watching it, you will catch on quickly, you know? It's not like those shows that go very fast, but it is British, and it took me a while to understand the their accent, and then after a while I understood it. But yeah, it's a nice show, but it's very addictive. Well, I love it. So.
Um, yeah, I'll check that out as well. I know what you mean about accents. The Hard, Heavy, and Hair show is on the air in on several stations in England,
Mhm.
all throughout the United Kingdom.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and I'm originally, my nationality or my ethnicity is Irish and Scottish.
Oh.
And I have some members of my family that still live in Scotland.
Hmm.
That is the hardest accent for me to get, is a thick Scottish
Really?
accent. It takes me a little while. I have to keep listening, and then I can start tuning into what they're actually saying, and deciphering it. It's
That's interesting because I had an interview with an Irish person, and they are hard to understand. Scottish was not that hard, but Ireland accents, I'm like, what? Australian, the first, and also from New Zealand was difficult too. It's crazy, but it's beautiful. Their accents are beautiful. I
Oh,
love it.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm sure to a lot of people in Ireland or Scotland or Australia, your Canadian accent, my American accent, they might be difficult to understand.
they always make fun of the way I talk because it's different. I'm like, well, you say this that way. You sound weird. They're like, but yeah, everybody makes fun, but it's a joke.
Yeah,
It's not being serious. But some people have really strong accents, and it's like, wow, now that's difficult.
yeah, yeah. Um, South African accents get me. It takes me a little while to catch up to that,
Hmm.
and it's always a very interesting kind of sing-song accent.
Hmm.
Um, I have a friend from South Africa, and you know, it just when we start talking, it's I just need 5 minutes to catch up and remember you're speaking English too. Just give me a moment. But
Yeah,
but I also get distracted by how nice his accent is. It's nice to hear. I like the musicality of it. Um,
mm,
but
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
it,
we could talk for a while about accents,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
basically offend a whole bunch of people.
But eventually, when I meet somebody for an interview, and if they have an accent that I don't quite understand, I just listen extra carefully, like really, really hard, and to really hear it. And then I'm like, okay, I got it. Somehow I grab it fast, but I have to really listen. Or I say nicely, could you please repeat that? Like, I don't like to say it, but sometimes you just have to.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
do. I interviewed someone from Sweden, and
Mm,
English was not his first language, and he had a bit of a thick accent, a singer. Um, and I had to ask him to repeat a couple of things. I just had to do it. But it's also interesting to me that accents usually don't come out while people are singing.
no, they don't. Nope. It's
So,
amazing. They sing and you don't even know how they actually sound until they start to talk.
yeah.
Yeah, it covers it. Hmm.
All right. Well, I
I'm
really
trying
like
to
your
think who
singing.
has an accent
Oh,
that it's covering, but I can't think of them.
I think almost any British singer, um,
Hmm.
Australian
But
singers.
but
Um,
some are just like some. Oh yeah, I was told this band is Australian. I'm like, well, they don't sound Australian when they're singing, and then when they talk, it's like, wow. They
yeah.
are Australian. Yeah.
Um, Shakira. Shakira
Oh,
was,
yes.
you know, um,
No, maybe.
was you hear her roll her R's and you hear a little bit of it come through, but I forget what it was. It was some song off Laundry was the first one I heard by Shakira, and I didn't pick up an accent at all from that song.
Mm,
But when she speaks, she very clearly has, the Brazilian accent.
right.
It just doesn't come through as much in her singing. Um, but I really like your singing. I'm really enjoying the music you sent me. "Kiss is a Killer" is a great song. I mean, the front line, we've already talked about that. That's a great one. "Kiss is a Killer," "Hurt."
Oh,
Um,
hurt.
you
That's the
know,
song I wrote after I left my friends. So I released Frontline. I was working on an album, but then I got the opportunity to go to Nashville, so I scrapped that. I did another album, and that's when I wrote Hurt. So a few months after I left them, I wrote Hurt. And I had to wait a few months because I couldn't write it as soon as I walked away. It was too painful. And I
yeah,
also didn't want to write something mad, angry, frustrated. I wanted my mind to be clear to write about, okay, you only cared about yourself. Now I'm walking away. Because
and that's a hard thing to do.
that song is more, it's basic. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is if you feel that somebody is not going to support you and it's not going to be there for you and you're always doing it to them and they're not returning it, then why are you even staying around? Like you should be bouncing it back, not one person doing all the work because I was always supporting them with everything, helping them with everything. I don't even remember them coming to even my shows, honestly. I can't even I know it's sad, but that's what happens when friends are jealous of you, I guess, or they just don't want to see you succeed when they're not succeeding themselves. But also, I was very young, so I can't quite say what was going on. But eventually, as you get older, you would think people would grow up and be supportive. But
Yeah.
nobody was growing up, but I was growing up. They weren't. But I don't think we ended on bad terms. I just walked away and I didn't even say bye. I just blocked them and walked away because honestly, sometimes you just can't say anything. But
Yeah.
but
Sometimes
if
you
I
just need
do,
that clean break.
actually I did see one of them a few months, a few years later,
How'd that go?
and and I was like, hey, and she was trying to bring me back in, like come back, be a friend again, let's hang out. And I was like, you know what? It was nice to see you, but I think no, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going back to the way I was. You want to go forward, not backwards, right?
Right.
Uh, Too many chances. I'm not giving it anymore because I should have walked away from them years ago, way. But in high school, you don't want to be alone, so you stay around everybody you don't want to be around, just so you're not a loner, you're not feeling left out. High school is like the place where you want as many people around you, but it's not always the right ones.
Yeah.
So after high school, I decided, I can walk now because I don't need them anymore. I don't need that group of people that I needed back then, which I don't even know why I kept them, but you're just so young. You want people around you.
Yep.
But now I maybe have one or two friends here, but most of the people I know are online and they're fabulous. Like they're so good. I wish they lived closer, but a lot of people now have more friends online, like really good friends now online. So
Which brings me to, where can new friends find you? What are your socials?
you can go to my website, Sabrina Fallah, FALLAH.com, and all of my social media outlets are on my site. It's Sabrina Fallah for all of the social media outlets. So
Great.
I'm,
And
I'm
your music's
yeah,
on Spotify, so anybody
it's on
can,
it's on
and YouTube.
Spotify, Reverb Nation, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Music, anywhere you can stream by, it should be there.
All right,
If
great.
you can't find my music, just contact me. I'll help you.
Right
If you
on.
want to make a new friend, contact me. I love meeting new people.
Well, I have really enjoyed meeting you, Sabrina. Thank you for joining me on the show. I really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me.
And I wish you the best of luck with your music and touring and everything going forward.
Thank you.
Remember to hear the music discussed in this interview. Stream the on-demand Hard, Heavy, and Hair show at pariahrocks.com.
That's PARIAHROCKS.com.
Also hit pariahrocks.com to stream or listen on a radio station near you. The regular 2-hour Hard, Heavy, and Hair show with me, Pariah Burke. Hard, Heavy, and Hair is your weekly dose of hard rock, heavy metal, and hair bands from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 20-teens, and today, including the latest new releases, your old favorites, and deep cuts and rare hair, along with rock news and trivia.